So the last time we were together, we talked about and we dove into the subject, the thin line between God's will and his wrath. And of course, we know that one thing that's not so thin, one thing that is not, it's not a discrete line. It's pretty obvious and it's pretty blatant. And that's direct disobedience to God and God's word. So we know that's one thing that will cause us to get out of his will and into his wrath. But there's another one that we dove into and explored that's not always quite as blatant and as obvious. And that is when we try to go around the will of God. What is God's will? God's will basically is his way, his plan, what he planned for us, what he planned for all mankind through his word, something that he spoke and had recorded thousands of years ago, So when we try to go around his will, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. It could be the type of relationship that you're in. Maybe you find that you're in love with a child. Maybe you're in love with an animal. Well, we know that that's out of the will of God. That's out of the plan that he has for us as mankind, right? But another way is sometimes there's something that we may want. One way that's subtle, we may be in need, really honestly. We may be in need of finances and of money. And some of us bend the truth a little bit to obtain that money, whether it's taxes, whether it's child support, whatever it is. So we find ourselves going around the will of God and getting on his wrath side. And another thing we find out, some of us just cannot control, won't control our lustful desires, our appetite. So that's another way that we get out of the will of God and we get on the wrath side of God, our Father. Speaking of God, our Father, come join us this Sunday as we dive into a spank brand new series that we'll be dealing with for the next several weeks, titled Pray After This Manner. It's Jesus talking to his disciples and some others, the crowd of people that gathered, and he's teaching them about prayer. And this first week, we're dealing with his opening statement, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Please come join us. I promise you, it's not as surface and as basic as you think. This thing, what Jesus was telling them, is way deeper than we ever imagined. So please come join us. Fortunately and unfortunately, our seats are already reserved. Our reservations go up on Monday at 5:30, every Monday at 5:30, and within a couple of hours, every seat was already reserved. But don't let it stop you. Come on anyway. Come join us anyway. We have a great staff of people who care, who are willing, who are able, and they will find you a seat somewhere in the house. Of course, safely distanced away from everybody else. We are still honoring the distance and the safety protocol and all of that. So please come on, join us, 9:45 a.m., Gateway area, GABFAC, 85 Water Street. Please join us.